African Caribbean Online Radio, folks. If it's Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, well, this is what we do best. We come your way and give you all the information within our scope of the entertainment sphere. Today, we are going to be having a very great conversation with some guests. And also, Petra is going to be in the house, and she's right here with me, folks. And this is Love Day Afrobeat Music Radio. And this is Highways to Africa. And joining me is Ron Molinga and Petra. I seem to be having a reverb. And you get it? Do you get it, reverb?
I'm not too sure. Oh yeah.
Right now. How do you hear me right now? Can you hear me right now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Petra, I hear you.
Also with me too.
I can hear Petra, but all the same. Here we are. Hi, Ron.
Hey, can you hear me?
How you doing?
Good. Absolutely fine.
Ron, I can hardly hear you.
You can hardly hear me. Okay.
I can hear Ron.
Petra, can you hear me?
I can hear you too, IB, but I have some echo.
Well, folks, we are
Let me try this.
trying to.
Is that any better?
Get things rolling here.
Oh, that's better. That's good.
We'll be right back.
Okay. I just need to make sure that check. I see I'm here.
Yes. Ron, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Can you hear me?
I cannot get that is clean. We'll see how because
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
this is quite unusual. And we'll fix it. And we'll be right back once again. There we are. Well, folks, we are back. And this is Loud Afrobeat Music Talk Radio, your number one African Caribbean online radio. Ron, I think you can hear me right now.
Yep, I can hear you just fine. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but there's a reverb.
There's a reverb. Let me try something else here. I'm going to do something real quick and
Okay.
off my my PA system here, my system, so I'm not into speakers, and that might help out a bit, just so that you are listening to me.
Yes,
here.
I can. Can you hear me right now?
You can hear me any better.
I can hear you.
Okay, can't hear.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, let me just check that out. I'm just checking speakers here.
Yes, I can hear you.
That.
The reverb is disappeared. So
speakers. Yeah, just let me know if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yes.
I can't hear you now though. Let me just check my audio settings. Let me go audio.
You can hear me now?
Check test. Yeah, I should be able to hear you. Yeah.
You can hear me now?
I can't hear you. I can read your lips.
Folks. So maybe folks, we'll go back to the.
That's weird. How I can hear. I'm going to try this again.
Right.
Because maybe I'll just do this. Just a sec.
Yes. I don't know.
Okay, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I'll go this way then. As long as you don't mind my weird looking headphones. Maybe I'll go get my other better set. Can I go get my other better set of headphones?
That's right.
Sure. One moment.
Folks, this is Love the Afrobeat Music Talk Radio, your number one African Caribbean online radio. Well, we are having some technical challenges, but we will overcome it because we have a nicer program for you today. We are going to be discussing a lot more about the music industry as we find it. There's a lot more to discuss. And despite the shenanigans that we've been going through, that's technology, you know.
Okay.
Technology can sometimes, you know what, take you to a place or places where you don't want to be. But it is what it is. We have to take it at face value and then proceed from there. And joining me this afternoon, this morning, this evening, wherever you may be, is Ron Molinga. He's all the way in British Columbia, that's out west in Canada. We're going to have this conversation and then we'll be joined again, Petra. And Petra is one of the most prolific singer-songwriters. She is doing great. And Petra will be joining us momentarily. How are you doing now, Ron?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm so happy that I'm above ground, just like DJ Jan 2 Blue say, I'm glad that I'm above ground. Right.
Yeah. Hey. Well, I can certainly hear you better. Hopefully, we got rid of some of that.
That's right. Yeah.
Sound problem.
Yeah. You know, it's technology. Sometimes, you know, there's nothing that we can do. And like I always say, we do radio, and we are not scripted. We do radio the way that we want to do it. Because back in the day, you know what, you have a producer saying, this cut, do this, do that, do this, do that. But you know what? It's a free kind of a situation that we face, and then we have ourselves in right now. So how's British Columbia?
Well, my part of the island is definitely a lot more wet than it's normally. I live on the northern end of the island, and I tell you, today it's definitely on the wet side. But that's okay. We need it. I tell you, we need the rain. And so it's one of those few times where I kind of look outside and go, the rain's not so bad.
That's right.
So,
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been in Vancouver maybe 2 or 3 times touring with my group. A couple of we enjoyed it. We enjoyed playing to some great audiences. As a matter of fact, from there we went to Surrey, Duncan. We went to Duncan. We went to all those places, Victoria. We performed there. Now the industry is changing right now. My first question. Now let's discuss this. Do you think there's a lot more money in music right now as opposed to See, let me put it back this way, about 5 or 10 years ago.
I would say it. That's a tough question to answer because, first of all, you have to think about when you say music. That can be a little vague because if you're a live performer, you are always, as I tell so many artists, if you're a live performer, you're always going to make more money playing live performances than you ever will be as a recording artist. Generally today, recording artists aren't making the money that they used to be, but then a lot of recording artists are becoming indie artists and not signing with huge labels to get that $1 million, so to speak, $1 million signing bonus to start with. So I would say that I find that more and more artists, including myself as a musician, there are less performances, places to play. There's less money generally. I played a number of places over the summer. They paid great. It was really good money. However, that's a little bit atypical of where you're seeing many musicians today are starving. I mean, when aren't they? And when haven't they been? Unless you're like an Elvis Presley or something like that, or a Michael Jackson, you were making a lot of money at one time. But I would even question today whether a star like Michael Jackson would be making the same money today if he was performing and recording. That would be the question. I would wonder. I would think not, because also we're a bigger planet. We have a lot more competition today than there used to be. There's so many different places, like this station. Good old Love Bay is promoting things like Afrobeat music, things that were never happening before, and another thing on the plate for people to listen to. So it's a really tough business to be in, and I'm glad that I get to do it because I love it and not for the money. The money's important, but it's not always for the reason that you're going to do music. So hey, Petra.
Hi.
Hey.
I don't know what's going on. We sat backstage, and I was like, "Okay, have to wait."
Yeah, Petra. Yeah, I put a question to Ron, and the question was, do you think there is more money in music right now than say 5 to 10 years back?
I do believe there's a lot of money in the music industry now. I just think it is in different ways. It's not necessarily coming from the music itself, but it's coming from things related to the music. I mean, one of the things the youngsters I feel have really tapped into is like brand deals and collaborations, and that's allowing them to access money that was never around before. Like in prior days, prior to social media, is very limited what artists can make money off. They can make money from commercials, some merchandise, as well as shows, touring. So I feel like a lot of those things are still around now, but like as Ron mentioned, to mirror what he said, it's not the same as it used to be. There's not as much money in the music per se. That's why a lot of artists are going around the music and they're tapping into other resources, like as I mentioned, brand deal, sponsorship, becoming influencers. And I feel like an artist, especially a mainstream artist nowadays, takes on many, many roles. They're not just the artist anymore. They're artist / fashion designer, artist / something else. You know what I mean? Like look at Nicki Minaj, for example. She's one of the top.
Talking about yourself.
Yeah, I talk about myself. I have a clothing line. I have like all kind of businesses. But music is still my love, But I'll mention also Nicki Minaj as well because she's known as being one of the world's top hip hop artists. But yes, she also has Queen Radio. She also has other things going on with her brand Cologne. So I think to be a successful artist nowadays, you have to take on many roles, especially when Ron mentioned, like a lot more artists want to be independent because as an independent artist, you can tap into all the different revenue streams without the label trying to take a piece of it. Because a lot of these artists that are now signing these deals, sign 360 deals. So it means when they get all these endorsements, the label is entitled to a piece of the pie. But when you're an independent artist, as long as you know how to manage your business, you get to eat all of that food. So
Yeah, you raise a very important point. You see, we what I'm looking at is that a lot of artists are artists, so to speak. Oh, I have come up with a track or an album, so everything is going. But one thing that I see is that we have not paid attention to the art of managing artists. Music, the business is bigger than you going into the studio, doing whatever you have to do and come out with it. My whole thing is that would there be, or I mean, with as an indie artist, do you think the big boys are being rooted out of the system gradually? Because you know what, you sign a contract, like a deal. I would say you sign a deal for say $1 million, and you know what, the $1 million doesn't belong to you. You have to make that money for them, right?
Exactly.
For them. So if you are going to make money for them and not for yourself, I don't see why it should be in the business, because they are making money on your back. But then, because of the hysteria and because of what a lot of people that, oh yeah, I've signed with the Ron label or Petra's label and stuff like that, they forget about the fact that after all these, there is more to it than what meets the eye. Ron.
Yeah, I think that when it comes to this, there is so much more to the industry that was not around, say, 15, 20 years ago that we're seeing today. Like, for instance, many artists are paying more to be promoted and for distribution. For instance, that's where a lot of artists, if they're going to, try to sign somewhere, that's where they're going to go instead. Promotion and distribution. Why? Because I mean, that's one of the hardest parts today, is to get yourself out there. And so you're looking at an industry that has changed so much. You're right, we're not getting the $1 million signings, but then lots of artists don't want this, and I can't speak to this like Petra can, but it's definitely not something I would want to be doing either. I would never. I mean, I'm always going to be an indie artist. I just don't want that pressure to say, oh, you better have an album here, an album there. A fellow and I are working right now on his album, and I tell you, it wasn't even a question of whether we were going to sign a big deal. It's a question of whether we want to sign for promotion, distribution. The other thing that we will end up paying somebody for is a producer. And that's not uncommon. That's just the smarts of going into music. But I wouldn't be going into it thinking that it's exactly the same as it used to be. And many people are taking it on differently. They have to. I don't know if this is answering your question the way you answered it.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes.
Yeah,
oh, yes.
But I would be very, very apprehensive as a recording artist, and I am, to be going to the big leagues, signing with Sony or something like that. That's no slam on Sony, of course. It's just saying that, as Michael Jackson did, there was lots of problems. I bring up him because I was reading something about him recently and how he and Sony were like this. And so it's just one of those things that I think many artists are starting to find, and as Petra's mentioned, are finding that they're going to have to do more than one thing to keep playing music. And Petra, with her business, is trying to do that, and kudos to her. And fortunately, I've already made, I'll say, my millions in the terms of what I did before this, which is teaching, and I'm teaching music. So I'm the money to me is trivial. However, it's the love of music that has to be there first and foremost. And I think it's just a different way to go about things. Trying to get your stuff out of, like, is it going to go anywhere if it's going to be on Spotify? I don't know. Is it going to go anywhere if it's somewhere else? It's just, it's a really tough business, and it's changed, and it will continue to change like this.
Petra.
Yeah, most definitely. So did you want to finish saying something, Ron? Or?
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Petra. No, go ahead, Petra.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That's okay. You make some really good points, and just to kind of touch back on what you mentioned initially, in relation to developing artists. I really feel like that's where the industry went wrong. I feel like a lot of these major labels, they try to cut costs by focusing less on artist development and focusing on having more of a ready-made artist. But the thing is, like, you can't just have a ready-made artist. Like, an artist is work in progress. Like, an artist is continuously ever evolving and working on their craft. So to take the development piece out of the industry has really caused a huge problem from an artistry standpoint, from what I can see, because the industry now is so focused on revenue and ROI, getting a return on their investment, that they don't care about the rest, and it's the artists who are suffering. So you have like artists who want to be independent, they want to keep their artistic freedom and be free to do what they want, but that road is going to be a lot harder. Then you have the other artists that are okay to sign with a major label, yet but they have no control over the decisions they make, and in the long term, very few of them win. A majority of them lose because they have no control. If they don't want to follow orders, they get shelved, and they're not getting paid what they deserve. So it's kind of like you kind of have to pick the high road or the low road in a way, and it's up to you how you view each one of those paths to be. Because like Ron mentioned, like some artists are okay to be signed to a label, you know. Some artists are okay to be independent, but they each come with their own struggles, and they each come with their own fight. It depends on the kind of person that you are, on what road you want to go down. Now, a long time ago, like, I was signed to a label at one point. So it wasn't a major label, but I was still signed to a label. And there was some perks, it meant everything was paid for, like photo shoots, videos, everything. So I do understand that part, that you do have a team of people that are working on your behalf, um but at the same time, it's like, luckily with my label, and I'm so thankful with them, I didn't really have to recoup anything. The label just kind of just took the loss, So I'm blessed in that regard, where a lot of artists are not really blessed for that. They have to recoup the cost. So if it doesn't work out, they're stuck paying that money back to the label. So back to my point, I feel like it depends upon what you want as an artist. So I decided a long time ago, after my experience being signed to a label, it was great, but again, you don't really have the creative freedom over what it is you wanted to do, which is why essentially I left the label. They couldn't really cater to me as a reggae artist because they were more catering to hip hop and R&B artists at the time. So I had to make that choice to do it on my own as an independent artist. And being an independent artist has its challenges, its ups and downs, but I'm so much more fulfilled being an independent artist. Like, I've been able to create some amazing songs that if I would maybe sign to a label, that they probably wouldn't put out. But because I'm out here doing on my own, it's a lot easier. Another point as well that Ron mentioned, which I think is also good to highlight, is what it takes to be an artist nowadays. Like, I totally agree with you. A lot of the money does go towards distribution and marketing. Distribution, I would say, not too much from my experience, because there are a lot of platforms like United Masters, CD Baby, TuneCore that allow you to distribute at a lot cheaper rate, which is good. However, marketing is the most expensive thing as an artist. And there's so many artists. There's like hundreds of thousands of new artists being released every single day. So how are you as an artist going to stand out from the crowd? Then as an independent artist, you're also going against major artists that have huge budgets to spend on marketing. Some of these artists spend hundreds of thousands to $1 million on marketing. There's a reason why we see a handful of artists more than we see others. You could be the best artist in the world, but if the world doesn't know about you, then you're lost in a sea full of other artists, unless you have a gimmick or there's something extremely special about you. And I think it's really sad to even say that, because I believe that every single artist is special and unique in their own way. So each artist should be highlighted. But again, the industry is so oversaturated that as an artist, you have to keep into consideration all these different things, which is why as one of my businesses, I ended up opening a marketing agency, because that was one of my challenges as an artist and also fashion designer and all the creative things I love to do. You know, I have these talents and gifts, but how can I get them to the world? So then now having to learn a new skill and a new way to get my talent to the world is like another thing you have to put on yourself, another weight you kind of have to carry in a way. So there's so many elements to the industry nowadays. But again, if you love music, you'll do whatever it is it takes to make it happen. You know, so
Yeah, from what you said, you made some good points out there. It means, you know what, after everything is said and done, marketing, publicizing what you have is the most important thing. You can just go into the studio, record, do whatever you want to do, but if nobody knows you,
exactly.
where do you go from here? But another thing that I would like to put out there, so we all agree that marketing or being indie serves the artist right. Would I be right in saying that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And having said that, do you think social media also has helped defray some of the costs? Because Petra, you were just saying people spend, say, hundreds of thousands and stuff like that. That may be the big boys. But as individual, unless you've made it to a point where you have the coins to do whatever you want to do, as an independent artist, somebody who has just broken into the system, I don't think you can afford that. I mean, to pay that. I mean, if you want to depend on, say, Spotify and all the others, then you won't be able to do anything, because the money is not there for them to, unless you reach a milestone, then you can make money. But hey, what is it? Petra or Ron, you can take it up.
Yeah, Ron, go ahead.
I think when you're talking about things like that, you're right. It's for indie artists. To me, in some way, that's almost better, because you're not having to rely on somebody else to make your money. You can run the show as long as you have the marketing skills. You have the people around you who believe in you. When it comes to people like Taylor Swift, she's got the money all over the place, so she can put her name out everywhere she wants. She can put herself up in billboards, whatever she wishes to do. However, people like, I'll say me, for instance, do not want to or have the time or the money to do that. So getting things like social media in many ways is the way in that you would have never had the opportunity to do before. Like, say, 20 years ago, I can't see some of the artists like myself, for instance, being anywhere like even close to being heard by anybody, because there wasn't anywhere to put it other than, here, would you please sign on the dotted line, and then we'll pay for everything, like Petra mentioned, and we'll give you everything you want, and then you're stuck in a little bit of hole. Because as Taylor Swift found out, as I'm using her as an example now, is that her master copies, she had to go back on and re-record again, because the major label would not release them. And so she whether that was good or bad for her, well, it took her time, of course, but maybe that was better for her. However, we're just not seeing people, I'll say the no names, that we would never have seen 20 years ago. We may be able to see now. I listen to so much music, and I'm going to go, whoa, that is really cool. But who is this person? I have no idea.
I know.
So it's nice that way, so that people are getting heard. But it's still not an easy industry. I still will say to people, as long as they can do a recording and you can perform that recording, you stand a chance of making something, because you will always make more money. Taylor Swift probably makes more in one night performing than she would on her whole album,
of course,
that she releases. So just that in itself says that if you're going to record, please make sure that you can stand on a stage, because that's where you are actually going to make something, um, some kind of money. That's where I make my money most of the time is recording. I'm just sorry, not recording, is playing live.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Let me jump into this before. Yeah, and it's a fact because I quite remember not long ago we were supposed to perform, and well, we got a contract, we got the deal, and the deal was for us to perform for 1 hour, and then 1 hour for $10,000, and then we did one song that is less than 10 minutes. They said, "Oh, we love it. You know what? The place is filled." They wanted our presence there. They used it. They wanted to use the name, the African Guitar Summit, to bring people in there. So once that threshold was overcome, the music didn't matter. But at the end of the day, as an artist, $10,000 for 10 minutes was a windfall.
Mm-hmm.
It was huge for us.
Yeah.
Because we didn't even finish the first song. They said, "Oh man, that is good." Oh yeah? All right, no problem. We just left the stage, started jumping, that 10 minutes. So you know what, Ron, what you said is true. It's very, very, very true. Because back in the day too, you have to go out there, perform, sell your CDs to see how many are being sold and stuff like that. So I think it's a little bit easier right now than before. Petra.
Yeah, most definitely. No, I totally agree.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Ron, go ahead, please. Yeah.
Oh, well, how can I disagree with myself? So
Sorry, my love.
there you go.
That's
Okay,
right. There you go. Okay, go ahead, please.
Yeah, no, I agree with Ron and what you were saying in relation to social media being an amazing outlet for artists. I believe that if it wasn't for social media, like you said, there's a lot of artists that wouldn't be known to the world right now. And it has allowed them on a smaller budget to be able to access the billions of people all over the world that love music. You know what I mean? And it's been definitely a really a key player for a lot of younger artists, because I feel like a lot of younger artists have found a way to really utilize sites like TikTok. Like TikTok has totally blown up so many young artists, like Ice Spice and there's so many, the Galaxy's Panda. I should be able to know all the names of so many. But yeah, social media has been a really amazing tool to do that. And because social media can be used in a multitude of ways, it's not just like we have the streaming sites, we also have Instagram, we have content, we have blogs. So I think as long as you can tap into all the different ways that social media allows you to connect with your audience, and utilize all of them, that really adds to getting you out there as an artist. Also to mirror what Ron was saying, that like to be in this industry is very difficult, especially nowadays. It's a lot harder because back in the day you would sign, but back in the day it was the labels, they were the only ones you could really go to that had the means and the ways and the connections to get you out to the people. With social media and the internet now, it's taken that power away from them, which is why I feel like major labels, like the way they operate is a lot. I'd say for me, it seems a lot more intense. Like I find they're so quick to sign so many artists, but out of say the 100 artists they sign, maybe they'll put a little bit of money into 5 of them. Then you have a whole bunch of artists who are just shelved, or because sometimes I'll go on like YouTube and I'll just find myself down like a rabbit hole of new artists. Like I hear a song that I've never heard before and I'll play it, and then all of a sudden another song will come up, and it's like after an hour I just heard like 30 new artists that I've never heard of before in my entire life, and every song is so good. Like every single song is good, so it makes you feel like, okay, like is this a win or is it not a win? Because it's a win in the regards that there's so many talented people that are getting the opportunity to come to the limelight. However, I feel like because the market is so saturated now, that I feel like we're missing out on those artists that have a huge impact on their audience. Like for example, like Michael Jackson when he first came out versus to if Michael Jackson tried to come out today. I think the impact will be so different. Like Michael, Celine, like all the legends, all the greats could impact their audience because there's only a handful of them that got through the gate. So because only a handful got through the gate, that handful could really impact the masses. Now it's like it's getting to the point just that there's just as many artists as there are people. You know what I mean? So it's like if you have millions of artists and millions of the audience, it's like how can they make an impact? You know? So and that to me, I think it's kind of a double-edged sword because the fact that like these individual artists could make an impact on you is why I think we hold music to such a high regard. But again, it's the fact that only a select few were chosen to be able to do that for us. You know what I mean? So there's so many that never got the opportunity that the world will never hear. But at the same time, now we have so many that get the opportunity. Is it really impacting us in the same way?
Yeah, you see, before I think Petra, we've had conversations with a lot of other artists out there, and I think what has contributed to the glut, I'll put it that way, the glut of music right now that everybody wants to release them was the pandemic. People were at home. They never did anything. Actually, we interviewed Conscience, and we asked him what he did during the pandemic. He wrote 70 tracks. 70. So if he is doing 70, another person is doing 20, 30, 40, 60, all over the place. So there's a glut out there. So people are rushing to release music that they've done. So it's gotten to a point where you don't know what is going on. And every music is good. But then how do you pick that person's to be? It's all based on marketing.
Exactly.
It's all based on marketing. But then if you don't have the wherewithal or people to handle that, then you're at a disadvantage, Ron.
Yeah. Oh, there's no question about that. What I sometimes question in all this is, okay, what is good and what's not? Because I mean, this has gone on for years, but I just wonder sometimes. Anybody can put their stuff on anywhere in any social media at all, and release those 70 songs if they want to. But is it good? That is the question I wonder about the most, because I sometimes hear, like Petra's saying, great stuff out there. But then, like I did yesterday, I was telling somebody about this. I heard this great artist. I mean, he had this duet with this woman, and I tell you, the song they're singing, and it was just absolutely spot on. But then I listened to another part of the song, and I went,
oh, I hear that happens.
I just thought, I was cringing because I was hearing this hi-hat that was going tick, 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 tick. It sounded like a machine. And I was going, okay, there's no feel to this. I'm not hearing anything in terms of a human in this other than digital formatting.
Wow.
This could be a whole different topic one day, but I tell you, it just made me wonder, okay, what is good and what is not? And I thought the singing was fabulous. The song was great. I could understand everything. The story was great. But if it was with a really good producer would have said, let's just tweak that one part there, because that needs to be, just taken and adjusted, because it's got to sound like a human at least, instead of sounding like a machine. And so, to me, the question I wonder in all this, yes, everybody's getting to release all this great music, but what is great? And that is the question I wonder about. And it's all in the eyes of the beholder. I understand. Maybe somebody wouldn't have noticed that hi-hat like I did. Maybe they would have. But to me, it was just like, I was cringing as I heard that, because I'm going, I want a human in this. I want it to feel like there's a little bit of something, like an open hi-hat or something that makes it feel like music. And there's the question I have about it today, is that everybody's releasing all their stuff out on social medias, but what is good? Exactly. Generally speaking, a big label isn't going to allow you to put out, I'll say, okay stuff, whatever that may be. They're going to make sure that it's good. And maybe you'll get that great producer. You'll get that Quincy Jones in there, that David Foster in there going, hey, let's make this better. But that's what I wonder about music today. Yes, it's all coming out, but it is as good as it could be, is the question I would wonder. And, what is good? As I said, it's to each his own. But to me, some of it I listen to and I go, yeah. I'm sure you won't disagree with that either.
No. You're spot on. You're spot on. Because with me, for instance, let me digress just a little bit. With me, for instance, when I go into the studio to record, it takes me forever to release it. If it's not right, if it's not right, and I know it is not right, it is not ready. Right now, I have it, a track that was written by my son, hip hop. He's a songwriter. He's written for Soulja Boy and all those guys, right? And I listened to it and I said, oh, I like it. Hip hop. I'm not a hip hop kind of guy, but you
sound like a dad.
That's right. I said, I like that. And he says, well, you have to pay me. And I said, well, you have to pay me for the diapers that I bought too.
Wait.
In any case, I took this the stuff to the studio and I changed it. I'm still working on it. I'm there. It's about 3-4 years now. I'm still working it on the other stuff. But this is just to say that there's a lot more people are in a rush to release, despite the glut of music that we see right now. There's a lot of people rushing to do that. And let me get back to the publicity aspect of it. Next week, I'm going to get a young man. He's 20-something, mid-20s, or even less than that, who's come out with a brilliant idea, and he's doing great. What he does is that locally, he has a studio, and he brings artists. And the artists will come and set up, perform live, record it, and he's been doing that. Trust me, what he has done, until I spoke with him, he didn't know what he was doing. Now he has understood what he's doing. You know what? The big boys are reaching out to him. The big boys are reaching out to him to give them what he has. So every week, flown to Los Angeles, this is a young guy. So for local artists, and I'm telling him very soon, it will be at the international level, because once you record the live performance and they pick it up, hey, he has a stake in it too. The publicity is so big that he's already opened up that door for them. Now, it's not about just listening to the recording, but you're looking at the person who is singing and who is performing at the same time. If you want it, you pick it up. Warner Brothers and the others flew him into Los Angeles. He goes there like nothing. And now, when I spoke with him about what he is doing, he sat back and said, I didn't realize that. And this is where we are talking about publicity. There are so many ways to kill a cat, but this is publicity in itself. So I think moving forward, I think there are a lot of ideas coming up within the industry, and I think we stand a good chance of taking attention, paying attention to that, and then exploiting it. The floor is yours, please. Whoever wants to take it up. Because publicity is more important than me than going to the studio.
Yeah, for sure. I would totally agree. And just to kind of piggyback off what you said, TYB, and also what Ron said, like, what is good music, And I think there's a fine line, because you could say good music is whatever we're told it is. When you hear Beyonce's song played like 100 times on the radio, like, do we really like the Beyonce song, or is it because it's been played 100 times? You know what I mean? Like, how do you know? There's so many songs that have come out in the past. When I hear it, I'm like, oh, I hate that song. And then like a month later, oh yeah, I know all the words. Oh, I love this song. Because I've been conditioned to like this song. And that's because of the marketing, So that's the only thing I find with
And the money to promote it, because even if you don't want to hear it, that radio station is playing it. They will play it maybe 10, 15 times a day. So whether you like it or not, you have to
you're gonna like it. You're gonna have
like
no
it.
choice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think when you are operating on that level, it becomes scientific then, because it's conditioning. Obviously, the more a human being is exposed to something over and over and over again, that repetition, at some point, most likely they're gonna take that on, you know? So then it boiled down to the fact that, like a lot of these artists are successful because their labels, or they have the money to put into the marketing, the publicity that's gonna expose it to their audience enough times for them to buy into it, you know? And when I look at music like that, it makes me so sad, because people like us on this platform, we really love music. We love the essence, the sound, the way it comes together. We love music from a whole different standpoint than the way the industry is putting forth music, And after I got my nomination, for like 2 years after, like I just couldn't figure out like I just felt so sad about the music, because I realized the more I learned about the industry was the less I was being taken, like the more I was being taken away from the music. It was less about music or more about an infrastructure that was built up, So it's just kind of sad in that regard, and there's something I actually wanted to ask you guys, and I really wanted to get your opinion on, because I know you also mentioned around about that song you heard and everything was good until you heard it sound digital. I would love to get your both of your opinions on the influence of AI in music now. It's very scary. The fact that AI can imitate an artist's voice, and they're now recreating songs using AI that when you hear them, you can't even tell. Like I heard an AI track with Drake and somebody else, and when you heard that song, I thought that was Drake. I had no idea that it was AI. So I would love to get your opinion on how you feel about the influence of AI in music right now, and what you think is gonna, like, the impact it's gonna have on music in the future. And either one of you could jump in. Yeah.
Well,
go first.
Well, I was listening to a story last night on the news, and they were talking about the same thing with kids. It's either go with it or it's gonna roll you over. Unfortunately, in some ways, it's coming out like that, and hopefully, copyright laws will be able to eventually get themselves in place enough to stop that kind of thing, like you mentioned about the Drake song. I heard it too. Or I heard an example of one anyways, and I just thought, my goodness, who's Drake taking to court for this one? Or is he? But those are the things that are going to be coming forth with this. What I love about AI, I will tell you one thing, it's just like simple things like words to a song, which, lots of us sit there and we go, okay, I have to write this song. I have to write the lyrics to this song. And it's okay. So then you can just go into ChatGPT and just go, write me a song about love. And I want 2 verses and 2 choruses and a bridge and a chorus out. And boom, you've got ideas getting in there. So I think the good thing about AI, I tried looking good as well. And that is you're getting to see people able to do things that maybe they weren't able to do before. But I think what I get worried about is when you write artist voices have been the hardest thing to replicate, but not anymore. And that's what I get concerned about, because a voice is unique to every single person. Exactly. And when you hear that being replicated by somebody else that knows how to run a computer, I kind of go, is that really music or is that technology? I don't know. Go ahead, TYB.
Yeah. Sorry, before you mentioned TYB, I just wanted to interject real quick because I wanted to feed up that point. Sure. I hear what you're saying, and the same thing could also be said in relation to production. Music used to be just instruments, and now it's digital. So it's like, is this really the evolution of music, or is it really like, I don't necessarily say an attack on it, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because no matter what technology is involved in our future, irregardless, it's just to what extent. And then also what also bothers me is like, we're just now hearing this technology. Has this technology been around for a long time? Have artists been utilizing this? You know what I mean? So I just wanted to say that. Sorry to jump into YB.
No, it's cool. It's scary. It's really, really scary. Within the next 5 years, I won't even take it 10 years or 5 years. It's going to be scarier than what we do have right now. And I think the United Nations, I read about 3 days ago, the United Nations is also looking at copyright laws and stuff like that. But then they are hitting that kind of a roadblock. There's some pushback somewhere that, you know what? Well, that's my stuff. It's not, if it's not your, I can use your voice, but that's not your music. There's a lot of things that are,
that's crazy.
It's very crazy.
That's crazy.
So just like what Ron said, I want to write a love song, blah, 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 blah. And you do that. And then, you know what? At the end of the day, you go and record, and somewhere down the line, somebody also goes back in there to reverse what you did through AI. So the AI kind of phenomenon is going to be very scary. And we haven't even scratched the surface yet.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
This is just the beginning.
Yeah.
The question is, what will be there for artists?
Exactly. Like,
yes.
will there be a position for artists if they can use AI to formulate our image, make the music, you know, use our voice, write our songs? Like, will being an artist become redundant? Because one thing I wanted to say, Ron and TYB, you made a good point that, yeah, that's cool. You can use ChatGPT to write a song. I tried it. You know what I mean? Well,
Go back.
Confession.
I did. I'm like, write me a love song. You know what I mean? But it wasn't me. It wasn't me. It wasn't. I couldn't connect to it. And that's what I think makes an artist unique. Everybody's different, but my music, I know my music comes from a higher place. You know, I believe in the Almighty. I know my music comes from the Almighty because, like, I something comes over me when I get into my writing zone, and it's like as like a song gets downloaded. I can write a whole song in like 10 minutes sometimes. So that has to come from somewhere, you know? And then I know it doesn't come from me because I then have to learn my song. I just downloaded this song and I have the choruses and the verse, and now I have to relearn my own song. So that shows me it comes from a higher place. But that process is what makes the song special and unique. But to go to ChatGPT now and say, oh, ChatGPT, write me a song. It's going to write you a song, but where's that connection to it? You have to find a way to make it your own. So I don't think a person can or necessarily should use an automation system to write a song. Music is, and everyone's idea is different, but music for me is so magical. It's so special. Like, there's something amazing, like magical about music. So now when you're using technology and a computer to create magic, is it really magic?
It's scary. It's scary.
Yeah.
It's very scary, Ron. It's very scary because what is going to be the role of artists? Unless you go out there to perform live, then AI cannot come on stage and then compete with you or sing with you. But the process to record, to get to that level, is where it is very, very scary. Scary indeed. Yeah. Ron.
Yeah. I agree. It is, because when I found out I was finishing off a song yesterday or the day before, I was finishing off the last final stages of it, and I was listening to the drum track, and I just put anybody who's recorded before knows about samples. I put 2 drum samples in there, and it was like a kick and a snare. It was really simple, easy. And then I listened to it, and I went, this just does not get it for me. And then what I did is I got a real drummer to do the song, and I went, now that is music.
Exactly.
I could hear this drummer. Yeah, there you go. Same thing. That's what you say. I got the same thing doing that. And what I could hear I could hear that hi-hat going, getting louder and building up just as the drum fill comes in.
Yeah.
And you can feel it as he hits the crash. And I went, yes,
yes,
this is a human. Otherwise, it would have been digital. It would have been too plastic. I call it plastic.
Like,
and it just, and the guy sent it to, he goes, oh, way better.
Exactly.
Way better.
Exactly.
And you could just feel it. And the drummer wasn't hitting. It couldn't hit, and this is humans, couldn't hit perfectly on the beat. Couldn't hit exactly the same, amount of smack to the snare. It's just human. Mm-hmm. Humans do that. And anybody who's played in live knows this too. You can't play live and not slow down and speed up. That's humans. Mm-hmm. And that part to me is just, it kind of irks me because I just go the feel. I want feel. Music's got to feel something right in the heart. It's got to hit you. And when I heard this drum part, I went, oh, thank you. Thank you. I can hear it, and it feels like a person.
Exactly.
Good. And that's the thing that I really worry about with AI, because AI will never have that emotional feel to grip you like what humans can do. And so, I mean, I've started a song today, and it's just right off the bat when I'm hearing what's going on so far, and when I'm doing, I'm going, yep, this has to be real drummer. I just can't put a sampled kick snare, and with a hi-hat that just goes, I've got no feeling, just get me.
I know.
And I just go, it's just one of those things to me that AIs will not be able to do until they can get right inside you and make you go, okay, now I've got you right where I want you, and I've got your heart.
You're right. You're right. The talking drums the talking drums that
yeah.
They've tried everything to have a sample. Can't.
Wow.
You can never do that.
Wow.
You can break a computer. It can never do that because of how they play it.
Yeah.
How humans play it. They can use that to talk.
Yeah.
Right. That's why we call it talking drum, because back in the day, what happened was in between villages. If they want to say something to the next village, that's what they did. They used the talking drums, or come for some festival or something like that. That's what they did. Nice. And sample-wise, it's never been, replicated. But see, talking about this, I think there could be the limitations, the limitation aspect of it. But all in all, it is so scary. And before we go, you know what? This has been a very great conversation. Let's come back again next week. We'll get some of this. And
I'll talk about this anytime.
Let's do this because we are educating ourselves and educating the people out there. And it's a very interesting topic that we are opening up. Yes, we are opening a door for people to understand. I mean, the three of us are within the industry, and there are people who are also trying to jump onto the bandwagon. But the fact of the matter is that our industry is a jungle. It's a jungle. It's not an easy thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a jungle. If you lose sight of something, you'll be eaten alive. So before we go, share your final thoughts, and you know what? We'll come back at it again because I'm enjoying it, and I've enjoyed it seriously. Ron, would you go first, please?
I think that this is a good opportunity. Things that your lucky Petra's had a chance to talk in this, because I will tell you I'm blue in the face on a topic like this, just because there is so much in this industry that I sometimes question, I sometimes wonder about, and yet there's so many good things that I hear happening and seeing. I wouldn't have never met people like yourselves had we had not had social media. So there's been bonuses to all this, and there's goods and bads to everything. It's just, I think that the thing is, where do we go from here? How do we move forward? And that's what I always question and I wonder about, is where the industry is going to go. And I sure hope it doesn't make an AI in charge of it all. You know?
Yeah.
Okay, Petra.
Yeah, most definitely. I totally agree. I hope that doesn't happen either, because we'll all be doomed. But yeah, no, I totally agree. Our industry is definitely a jungle. It's definitely not for the faint-hearted, and I definitely believe for real musicians and real people that love music, it's a journey. You know what I mean? I mean, there are some people that come into the industry and you'll hear about them for a few years or but people that really really love this, they're in it for life. You'll always be a musician, even if you have a different job or a side job or whatever. You'll always be like a part of this industry, you know what I mean? And I think whenever you embark upon this industry, you have to decide on that and be in it for the long haul. It's kind of like trading stocks on the stock market. There's going to be ups and downs. It's just you have to be able to know when and how to ride those waves. And you look at your career in the industry from a holistic perspective. You're going to have some high moments and low moments, but all in all, what was your experience like? What impact did you make on the world? Like, what legacy did you leave? You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's what I would say.
Awesome afternoon. Honestly speaking, we got to come back at it again because I enjoy this, right? At least we are opening a Pandora's box to get a lot of people to look at themselves if they want to be artists, if they want to go into this business. Because, like I continuously say that it's a jungle. It's a dog eat dog kind of situation where we have it. But there are a lot of things that have been added to it: publicity, AI, and on and off, stage. There's so many things. There's so many things. So, folks, it's been a pleasure. And then trust us. Next week we'll come back full swing and then continue with this conversation because we have just started. And this is Highway 6 to Africa. And on behalf of, Petra, Ron, we say thank you very much for taking your time to accept to come in here. Because you know what? It is what it is. Music is our future. We cannot afford to make any mincemeat out of it. We have to, face the challenges and the good things that comes with it. And until next week, Saturday, where we will come back again to continue with this conversation, I'll say take care of yourselves and each other. Bye-bye.
Bye, Love Bay family.
Bye-bye.